Following up on last week's conversation, CJ and Sade return for a new Comedy Hype news show to discuss what's being real in Hollywood. And instead of talking about who the picked Negroes are, they go on to highlight who are the real Negroes. As the conversation rolls out, CH's Jay Will calls into the show to respond to Corey Holcomb's criticism and more.
All right, so last week there was a huge discussion around picked Negroes in Hollywood. And shout out to everybody that checked out that episode and engaged with us. Thank you so much. Thank you. Right. So listen, when we're talking about picked Negroes, right, you can't have that conversation without talking about the real Negroes in Hollywood. Fair. Right? So, Sade, talking about real Negroes in Hollywood, who comes to your mind?
One of the first people that come to my mind is Keenen Ivory Wayans.
Fair.
You know?
Why?
Keenen Ivory Wayans. This man put his entire family on and created a dynasty. Everybody wants to put their entire family on.
Yeah.
You know? The move that he made, their kids are eating off that.
Yeah.
You know? And then, I mean, not only did he put his family on, he's launched so many other comedians. You think of people like Jamie Foxx.
In Living Color?
Right.
In Living Color? Okay.
Jamie Foxx.
Fair.
Tommy Davidson, Jim Carrey. You know, so he's birthed so many. And yeah, you can't get no realer than that. So you think back to when in Living Color, when he walked away from Fox because he was being mistreated.
Yeah.
At that time, the brothers weren't getting those kind of opportunities to have a hit show on Fox. He walked away.
So with having that conversation, I would have to go with Corey Holcomb.
Why?
Corey Holcomb stand for the people. Stand for the people.
Okay.
And if something stinks, Corey Holcomb is going to call the shit.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and speaking of Corey Holcomb, let's address the elephant in the room, right? We all know Corey Holcomb is known to be outspoken, right? And so speaking of his outspokenness, he has had a lot to say about Comedy Hype on his platform. So we have Jay Will calling into the show.
Shout out to Jay Will.
Shout out to Jay Will. And you all know Jay Will as the voice behind all of our one-on-one interviews. All right, Jay Will, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. I definitely had to call in to see what you guys were up to, what noise y'all making online. How are y'all?
Good.
Yeah, great.
Good. We appreciate you calling in today. We are talking about real Negroes in Hollywood. Last week we talked about, there was a huge discussion around picked Negroes in Hollywood. And this week we decided to discuss the real Negroes on television and in Hollywood. And currently we were discussing Corey Holcomb. As far as being one of the real Negroes in today's age in Hollywood. But before we get into that, as far as speaking about real Negroes in Hollywood, let us know a little bit about what that means.
Okay, cool. Definitely. This sounds like a great conversation. But my definition of being real comes down to two things. Someone that is showing action and then also moving with a sense of integrity. You know, someone that is not really speaking a whole lot and that's really just doing the work. I've always admired people like that. People that we oftentimes don't hear from or hear about, but their work speaks volumes. And then at the same time, of course, integrity. I think that's something that you guys are gonna probably discover in this conversation, how important integrity is to be considered being real.
Okay, so do you think Corey was real for calling out Comedy Hype regarding how we were moving with some of the interviews?
I can definitely see how people might feel that was a real thing for Corey to do. My only thing when I look at Corey being real is just more so of his actions. I think that he definitely speaks on certain things, but does he stand firm behind his word is oftentimes in question. You know, recently I just watched his new episode of the 5150 show, and for years, even on our platform, matter of fact, he actually did an interview with me talking about Stephen A. Smith.
Ari Spears, he kind of threw a compliment at you. He was admiring the way that you were able to kind of, use the N-word and be able to deliver your content. He kind of admired that it still resonates with a lot of people and that you kind of still be successful out here in comedy as being controversial as you are.
I want to use this example. Stephen A. Smith talked about black people for a whole week and he didn't get suspended from ESPN. But then when he said something about how women need to not bring drama toward themselves, they suspended him. Listen, we cannot be scared to tell your boss, you wrong, fuck you.
So in that, him talking about Stephen A. Smith, he's been doing that for years. And it would turn out a few weeks at All-Star Weekend, Corey would see Stephen A. Smith and, didn't really address him. Didn't speak on the things that he spoke about. There was even a clip from the 5150 show that expressed what Corey would want to do to Stephen when he saw him.
Well, check it out, bitch nigga. I don't vote either, Stephen A. So when you see me talk that same shit, you talk like the Kaepernick. Because when I see you a bitch nigga on sight. And whatever happened after that, fuck it. I don't give a fuck. I will not let my opportunity go when I see you to be like, this bitch nigga. On sight. I'm not like, when you was on Rollins' show, he was kissing my ass a little bit, talking about, Corey is funny, worth the price of admission. I don't know why he would say some shit. Motherfucker, because you talk shit about niggas on TV.
So when I see that type of behavior, it kind of questions someone's realness at times when their actions don't meet up to their words.
So you believe that Corey Holcomb is kind of, I guess, one of the ones that's more so, loud and just mouthy instead of actually taking real action to stand for something?
I think it's definitely a big question mark. Because we have to provide solution. What you guys are doing with today's episode, we created a big conversation with Pig Negroes, and now you're coming back with solutions, shouting out the examples. And I think that's a responsible thing to do in terms of when you do kick up dust, if you will, that you're providing solutions. So with Corey, if you kind of look at what he's done consistently over time, he kicks up a lot of dust, and I don't see a lot of solutions coming from his direction.
But do you think that that's taking a stance, though, calling out the inequalities in Hollywood and kind of calling out the pit Negroes and the things that are going on that needs to be discussed? Do you think that's something that, kind of does make him real?
It like I said, I definitely agree how that can be seen as real. But you asked me the definition of like what's real. I definitely think that it's about action is important and a certain level of integrity. And with Corey, he calls out integrity is what he's kind of doing, but I don't see any action. So from my definition of being real, it doesn't match. But I can see how one can feel that way. I definitely can in calling out people, but I think there's a level of responsibility when you do make stances like that.
Well, so here's the thing, J. Will. Corey has stated multiple times that Comedy Hype has not reached out to him. He has stated that we have had multiple comedians on the platform that has spoken on his name. However, we haven't reached out to him. Have you reached out to Corey?
Okay, good. I'm glad you guys asked that question. We have definitely reached out to Corey. It would be a great, and I would definitely say entertaining interview to get him to do a one-on-one with us. So that's definitely inaccurate. And, in August of 2019, I can recall was right around the first time we reached out to Corey after years of maybe not staying in touch. And I got hit with a schedule conflict from his camp. So from there, after months went by and we didn't hear anything, I followed up in December of 2019 as well to see if his schedule opened up. And that all took place before this Alex Thomas interview. So we definitely would want Corey to speak to our platform, and we think it would be a great conversation. So for him to say that we haven't reached out is inaccurate, and I'm glad we were able to clear the air on that.
So now that Corey has called out the platform several times and have said the things he's said, is that invitation still extended to him for him to come and do a sit down with you?
Most definitely. I think Corey is an entertaining figure in comedy. I think he does have his truths, and there's more to discover about him. So we would definitely want to have a one-on-one for the audience to better understand him, his brand, and the people around him.
Gotcha.
Awesome.
All right,
We'll be looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, all right, J. Will. Definitely, we will see you around. Thank you so much for calling into the show.
For sure. Keep up the good work, guys.
So Corey Holcomb, the invitation is out there. We would love to have you here at Comedy Hype. All right, and to piggyback off of what J. Will was saying, when you talk about action, right, you have to think of Dick Gregory.
Yes.
That's a brother that was about action. A lot of people don't realize Dick Gregory ran for president of the USA.
the president.
Right. So he didn't just talk. He was trying to put himself in a position to actually make change. Again, what we were talking about, make a stance.
Right.
Right?
Take
And a lot of
stance.
people don't know that.
And the thing about it is, it's the timing that he was doing it.
Yeah.
That he did it. You know, it was at that time back in this was 1968. There were so many more systems in place to keep us down and hold us back. And he took a stance then, not saying that those systems aren't still in place. But damn, in 1968.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For him to take that stance. Of
You're
course.
talking about the Jim Crow days and things like that.
That was a real brother.
Yeah.
Okay, so while we're talking about action, let me ask you this. Why haven't you mentioned someone like Tyler Perry? I mean, we all know he's done a lot of action. He's employed a lot of us. You know, he hasn't been caught in scandals. Why isn't he in this mix?
It is very obvious that Tyler has done a lot for Black people, right? He's employed a lot of actors and actresses. Of course, he has the studio here in Atlanta. I think the action is there, but it's lacking integrity.
Why though?
I think it's the dress. I'll be honest. I think it's the dress. I think it's the portrayal of negative stereotypes in his content. You know, of Black women and men. Just being honest.
Or the fact that he did say he don't have writers.
Yeah.
But damn, he's employing a lot of Black people in other places in the industry. You know, so I don't know. What about someone like, you know, when I'm thinking about Tyler Perry, I'm thinking of like Kevin Hart, you know, Tiffany Haddish.
Today's people.
Yeah.
Right, obvious today's people. Tyler Perry, Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish. They all have the action there. Tiffany, of course, put on other women of color. Hell, she used her own money to fund the special. Kevin Hart, of course, I brought up and coming comedian. He has his own boys around him. We see the action there. Again, it's that integrity part I think that's missing. Right? So when you think of Kevin Hart, what type of stance does he take? What type of stance does he take in his stand-ups?
Yeah.
The one time he did take a stance, it was on what, the VMAs, MTV Awards, one of those awards shows.
Oh, where he came at Trump. He took a stance. It was cheesy.
That wasn't a stance. That was a silly-go-lucky. That was almost like a kid patting you on your elbow.
Yeah.
That wasn't a stance.
Yeah, that was,
Right.
if this conversation come up, you'll be able to say, I said something to Trump.
And then he doubled down, think of the apology thing to the gay community. He still doubled down about tweets from 12 decades ago.
Right.
Right? So at first he said, I'm not going to apologize. Then he said, I'm going to apologize. That was a moment right there he could have took a stance. But then you went on Ellen, and you're not taking a goddamn stance. You know what I mean? As those brothers took back then.
So even speaking of taking a stance, just going back to some real Negroes in Hollywood, I think about someone like Robert Townsend. You know, he took a stance through his content, through his art.
Sure.
When he created Hollywood Shuffle, he did it to expose just kind of some of the obstacles that Black filmmakers go through.
Sure.
You know?
Yep.
So things like that. And Funny get with his own money.
What was some, okay. Go
Funny
ahead.
get with his own money, maxing out credit cards to fund it. Like, that's how passionate he was about doing this.
Yeah.
You know, taking that stance, exposing this for people to see. Even today, he gives back. He gives up-and-coming Black filmmakers the opportunity to go and have their work showcased at the American Black Festival.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people aren't talking about that.
The American Black Film Festival.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't talking about that. But then, because you have people like Jordan Peele, who's pushed to the forefront. And I think Robert Townsend even mentioned Jordan Peele was one of his motivations as far as, you know, relaunching some of his old work. But I questioned that because when you think of Jordan Peele, we get it. He put out a movie like Get Out, right? And he talked about Black men being trapped by white women. And a lot of people question.
Or white people in general.
Or white people in general.
Yeah.
And a lot of people question why we mentioned Jordan Peele last week. But it's just an oxymoron. You're putting out this movie, but you're going home to a white woman. So it's like, are you putting out a movie as to what you're living in real life? Or what are you doing here?
Yeah, that's debatable. It's debatable.
I can't take that message from him when you have a white woman at home.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
So even speaking of that, think about Bill Cosby.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So think of his documentary back in the day that he put out, Lost, Stolen, or Strayed.
Uh-huh.
He talked about the misrepresentation of black people in the media. He
yeah,
was trying
yeah.
to put out a positive image of black people in the media. So when it came time for him to purchase NBC, now he's a rapist.
Right. All of these old accusations come out of nowhere. And they Bill Cosby is in jail.
Right.
Bill Cosby is in jail.
And this is a black man that was trying to purchase an entire network so we can have creative control and have control over what's put out there for us.
Think about what that would have done for us as a culture. That would have given him so much power to control the narrative of blacks in the media.
Well, it wouldn't be a bunch of men in dresses, and I damn sure you wouldn't be chicken on the red carpet. We would have much more control as to what our top people that's pushed out in the media are doing.
They didn't give him that.
They put those people out the way.
Yeah, they put him in jail.
Put him in jail. All right, so even with Bill Cosby, you gotta talk about Nick Cannon.
Nick Cannon has done a lot.
Everything.
He has done a lot. He's put on so many comedians. But I have to question, like, why don't we take him serious? Or why isn't he talked about enough? Where are his flowers?
It's because he keeps trying to rap.
You think that's what
it is? It's because he keeps trying to rap.
And he won't stop.
And he keeps bothering us with these songs. But if he would just stick to the business aspect, Nick Cannon would get the respect from the culture. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
He would get the respect from the culture.
Yeah, because it's almost like he's right there with the ones we're talking about, the Keenan Ivory Waynes, the Robert Townsend. He's put a lot of people on. He's employed a lot of blacks. He's played a large part. With the show Wild 'N Out, think of how many comedians have come out of that.
Yeah.
Think of the movie, the classics that we have.
If he leans more into that I'm a business mogul, that Diddy, 50 Cent of comedy, then I think that's where he'll get his respect.
Yeah.
But until then, people just gonna keep calling him corny. And that's sad, really. But just to bring it home. So I have to ask you, when we're talking about real Negroes in Hollywood, Monique.
Everyone has hopped on the Monique bandwagon. And the reason why is because everything that she was saying, it has come to the forefront. Monique warned us.
Right.
Monique warned us. But I have to ask,
why did she warn us?
Right. That's the question. The integrity behind it. If Monique would have gotten that check from Netflix, would she have taken that stance?
That's a good question. Let us know in the comments below, guys. Who are the real Negroes in Hollywood? Is Monique a real Negro? Did we miss anybody? Until next week, it's CJ and Sade with Comedy Hype News.